What's up, motherfuckers? Welcome back to Big Dog Talk. Like I said, I cover news, murder cases, events going on in the world. I wanted to go ahead and make this video because it's pretty fresh. So the video previous to this, we talked about the Joe Ramirez and Caysen Allison, murder case that happened back in May of 2022. Did I say 2022? Yeah, okay. Anyways, and you know, 2022, it's already 2025. It's been 3 years since shit. Crazy ass case. Bunch of delays, bunch of different shit that, you know, prevented things from, basically an extended amount of time for, a bunch of shit. So, anyways, the verdict came in that Caysen Allison was found not guilty. And when I say not guilty is yes, he killed Joe Ramirez. Everybody knows that. However, he did not get a first degree murder charge. He did not get a second degree murder charge. And and I quote, back when I had originally, found out about all this, and as I found out when I was making my last video and talking to a bunch of different people that knew them personally, following the case, following the witness statements, following, every piece of information I could get from online, from people, word of mouth. I've really been kind of following it because I was curious as to what is the verdict going to be, because there was so many different stories, there were so many different rumors going on at the time, and it was just a crazy amount of shit happening. So I'm gonna get myself comfortable. It won't be a long ass video, but I basically just wanted to give an update because I said I would. So Caysen Allison got charged with criminally negligent homicide. And so I'm not a fucking dictionary, so I'm gonna read what it means right here real quick. But anyways, it says criminally negligent. Bitch, I can't talk. Ho, give me a second here. Criminally negligent homicide refers to a death caused by criminal negligence, and basically it's carelessness. It's basically a death caused by carelessness. So in Texas, it's classified as a state jail felony. So basically, it's a crime where someone's reckless or careless actions result in another person's death, even if the intent wasn't to cause harm. So an example of what would get a criminally negligent homicide charge is say like vehicular homicide. If you're driving under the influence, speeding or distracted, and you end up killing someone. Failing to call for help, like if you witness an accident or something like that and you don't immediately call for emergency vehicles and it leads to their death, you can actually be charged for criminally negligent homicide. I'm gonna have to go slow when I say that shit. Leaving a child in a hot car, criminal negligence. And hazing, all that college shit. Hazing activities, if they result in a death, they can be prosecuted as a criminally negligent homicide. So it's a step down from involuntary manslaughter or negligent homicide. And so that's what he got charged with. So his defense team went on the news or whatever, and they gave their statements and reports, whatever, after the fucking they were done for the day. So yeah, so like I said, when I originally, okay, a little backstory for those who didn't watch the other video or don't know what the hell I'm talking about and you happen to come across this video. May of 2022, Joe Ramirez and his group of friends went into the bathroom. Caysen Allison and his one friend followed them after that. Allegedly, and don't quote me with rumor, but I mean, they said it in the news, so I could say it because that's what his defense team said. Allegedly, Joe tried to lock the door, or him and his friends stood in front of it, whatever. Long story short, Caysen Allison was trapped in the bathroom. Allegedly, Joe, I guess, lunged at Caysen for a sucker punch. I can't remember if he made contact or not, and then that's when Caysen Allison took out the knife and proceeded to stab Joe. I can't remember how many times. Anyways, long story short, Joe ran into the bathroom, collapsed. People were called. The nurse was there. Paramedics, all that shit. I believe he died in the hospital, or if he died on the way to the hospital, don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure on that. However, he passed away. People were hella mad, and rightfully so. I mean, if I were to lose a sibling, friend, uh, child, anything like that, I'd be pissed, especially in that manner. However, a big thing that I've said that, is clearly controversial, but, I don't give a fuck because I say what I want to say and I mean what I say. Do I think Joe Ramirez should have been killed? No. And I've said that hella times when I post about it. Nobody deserves to die, especially over, shit like that. Allegedly, all this started over some altercation that happened at prom, and I believe it was over some female. I don't know the full backstory, but that's what I heard, and that's what they reported in the case, in the witness statements. Now, what I didn't realize when Allison's defense team was talking this time in the press conference was that, I guess allegedly, I think he said one of Joe's friends pulled out a gun at some point on Allison, and it made another one of his friends uncomfortable that the gun was pulled out, but I don't believe it was Joe that pulled out the gun. Anyways, clearly, Joe Ramirez and his friend group had a problem with Caysen Allison. That's that. However, Joe Ramirez's character and witness statements played a big part in this case because they said that Joe was a known bully. They said that he liked to have his fights recorded. They said that he was, basically known for antagonizing and bullying these kids, whatever. I don't know if someone said he was a wannabe affiliated. Someone was quoting about his family, with some car break-ins or something like that, So there was a lot of he said, she said, and all that's allegedly. I'm not saying none of it's, I'm not 100% true on none of it. However, we're talking about Joe Ramirez's character played a big factor in the case, and I believe that is a big reason why Caysen Allison did not get a first-degree murder charge. He did not get a second-degree murder charge. He still got a homicide charge, but it was criminally negligent. So, which basically they're trying to say that he didn't mean to kill him, but in the heat of the moment, he did what he thought he had to do, and ultimately led to the death of Joe Ramirez. So I just wanted to give a little update. And that's what I was gonna read, because criminally negligent homicide charge occurs. Oh, no, I already told y'all what it was. However, in Texas, it's a state jail felony, and it's punishable by up to 2 to 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. So he didn't get murder. He didn't get manslaughter because, according to the jury, he did not intend to kill, but he ended up, his actions still demonstrated disregard for the obvious risk of death, whatever. So 2 to 10 years. I don't know if 10 years is the max. I think that's kind of crazy. Because like I said, he still murdered someone. He still took someone's life. And I feel like, yeah, that is punishable, because no matter what problem you got with someone, whether it's beef, whether it's, hold on. My bad. I'm supposed to be reporting and shit. My bad. Anyway, anyways, so yeah, that basically, I don't know when the actual sentencing is. I thought you got sentenced the day of, after the verdict was reached, but I seen a couple of comments on the actual press conference, and someone else had mentioned that it's not going to be until June, the sentencing. I don't really get all that. But long story short, he's not gonna get over 20 years. I mean, and I was reading a lot of the comments on the press conference thing. A lot of people saying, Allison better have security, and I agree, and I get that, because Caysen Allison, one, he got a hell of a less sentence. There's a lot of people mad because majority of the people were on Joe Ramirez's side. However, there was a percentage of people that were on Caysen Allison's side. So it's very, it's a split. It's a split um in who supports who. Now, me personally, I'm not gonna pick a side, and because I already said, do I think Joe Ramirez should have been murdered? No. However, when you walk around like you're untouchable, when you walk around thinking you could fuck with people, I already said there's always gonna be someone crazier than you. There's someone crazier than me. There's someone crazier than you. You think you badass, there's someone crazier than you. Like, a lot of these motherfuckers have complete disregard for a lot of shit. A lot of people got nothing to lose. So each time that you think you're untouchable, you're not bulletproof, you're not stab proof, you're perfectly capable of being killed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not immortal, you're not invincible. So if you're going to walk around with that type of attitude, regardless if you got your gang with you, your friends, you think you got a clique behind you, regardless, when it comes down to life or death, I mean, if someone feels threatened enough, they're going to save themselves first with a complete disregard. And I would too. If there was a bunch of motherfuckers that, if I'm outnumbered and I think they're about to jump me, and, someone's lunging at me, and what am I going to do? Let them beat me the fuck up, leave me in a bloody pulp on the floor, and what? And had that had happened, people would have been clowning Caysen Allison. Like I said, they would have been, oh, he a pussy, damn, you this and that. And that's if he would have survived the attack. Say the roles were reversed. Let's think realistically. Say that Caysen Allison was the one that had the group of boys behind him, and Joe was, the one that, say Caysen was the one that was bullying Joe, and vice versa, and say that it was Caysen that ended up being killed. Would there be as much of an uproar, is what I'm wondering? Because Caysen, a white male, killed a person of color, Mexican Latino, Joe Ramirez. Would there be much of an uproar if a Mexican had killed a white boy? With white people, yes. I mean, white people would have been in shambles. But I'm saying, you got to think realistically when it comes to colored crimes, whether it be color on color, whether it be white and black, white and Mexican, Mexican and white. When it comes to that, that's when people really get split. They really get, like, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta think realistically. But like I said, when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And I stand behind when I say that. We're not gonna sit here and act like both parties, both men, were completely innocent, because they weren't. You heard the witness statements, you heard the evidence, and the lack of. There was a lot that played into this case. So, and now the judge has the final say. However, the jury ruled that Caysen Allison was not guilty of murder, and he got criminally negligent homicide. So that's the end of that. How much he's gonna get sentenced, I don't know. What his bond's gonna be, I don't know nothing about all that. However, I just wanted to give a little update, kind of give, my little opinion on the situation, kind of just, because shit's about to get real. And when, there were a lot of threats already within the comments, and that's the thing. Like, I get Caysen Allison. A lot of people, some people are happy that, he didn't, it was self-defense. They said this and that, me personally, I wouldn't call it self-defense. However, you got to put yourself in that situation. What would you do type shit? When they say put yourself in their shoes, all that. Me personally, I'm not gonna sit there and be a pussy and let a bunch of people beat me the fuck up. Like, I'm not going down without a fight. You know what I'm saying? And that's just me. I don't know anybody that would. And if you say that, yeah, we're just gonna leave that one alone. But I doubt he's gonna get more than 15, 20 years. I know his family has money. A lot of people were saying that the money played a big factor into it. I don't think the judge, I don't think the jury, I don't think the lawyers were paid off. I mean, clearly the lawyers won the case, kinda. I mean, they're gonna get a big payout regardless. But it's just a heavy story. And ultimately, like I said, it's a sad story. No one should have lost their life in this. They were so close to graduating. But let this be a lesson to the younger generation. I know a lot of motherfuckers, these youngins, I say that I'm still young, but a lot of motherfuckers, I these high schoolers, these people that think they all that, I see them walking around in designer. I see these youngins posted up on social media with guns, flicking the camera off, smoking, sipping lean, popping pills. Y'all think y'all living the life. Y'all are untouchable. Y'all think this is some Godfather type shit. I done been there, done that. It, and I just let this be a lesson that none of that shit's worth it. It's not cool. It's not your you the risk that you get wanting to be in that lifestyle. You run a very high risk of cutting your life short and the lives of others. It's a very dangerous game. It's a very it's just and another and I want to talk about bullying too. I'm at a loss for words because a whole bunch of stuff is just coming back to me, but it's a sad situation, and I feel for Joe's family, because like I said, that's someone's sibling, that's someone's son, that was someone's boyfriend. There were a lot of people that cared about him. There's people that care about Caysen and Allison, and regardless of what he did, he ruined his life too. Uh, it it's just a sad situation all around. But when bullying's a big thing, and I don't think that schools do enough with bullying. I don't know if any of that bullying was reported or not, because you also get bullied for snitching too. So you don't win. Nobody wins in that situation. But I just really want people to think, what if the roles were reversed? Would you be as upset as you are? Would you really take into consideration all the evidence, all the lack of evidence? Would you know, you always got to think about, if the roles are reversed, what side would you be standing on? And what was the last thing I was finna say? I don't fucking know. But anyways, I wanted to report that, follow up on my last video. Now we just wait for the sentencing, see what that is. I was still checking the news thing for updates. I haven't seen nothing on sentencing, but anyways, I'm gonna leave it at that. Shorter episode today, but I just kind of wanted to say all that, give my little thoughts and opinions on it. I'm not gonna pick a side, and you don't even have to pick a side. All the evidence is out there. All the witness statements, all the jury saw all the security footage. They saw it's just I don't even know what to say. It's a sad situation all around, but at the same time, I'm tired of people trying to play like he was completely innocent, because he wasn't. And neither was Caysen. Both were at fault. And like I said, leave people the fuck alone, bro. Like, don't be fighting over females. Don't be walking around like you're untouchable. Stop fighting over petty shit, bro. Finish high school. None of them people are gonna matter after that. Come out here, get you a degree. Go into join the union, whatever whatever you want to do. You don't gotta go to college. Do a trade, you want to be a tattoo artist, go be a tattoo artist. They make hella money too, if you're a good one. You want to run a food truck, go run a food truck. You want to work for a restaurant, go run a restaurant. Some of them bartenders make hella good money. I have a few friends that are bartenders. They make hella good money. Come work at a warehouse. There's good money there. I mean, it's hella shit to do out here, but none of these people are going to matter after high school. Nobody gives a fuck if you was popular in high school. A lot of these motherfuckers that were popular in high school, they ain't shit now. They broke. They've got big. A lot of these bitches thought they would have shit in high school, got big as hell. 2 baby daddies. I mean, no one's gonna be what they were in high school after high school. Some people that were popular, like celebrity status in high school, they ain't shit now. You know what I'm saying? So just really think about your life. Don't ruin your life over stupid shit. Stop bullying people. I mean, leave people the fuck alone. You're not better than nobody on this earth. Nobody's better than me. I'm not better than nobody. We all equal. We all want the same thing in life. Leave people the fuck alone. But yeah, thank you for joining my little talk today. Stay tuned for more episodes. Like, subscribe, repost. Follow if you haven't. I'm gonna be a hella more active on this channel. Try to roll more things out. Still hella ideas. Give me but give me your opinion in the comments. Like, what do you think? What do you think about the trial? What do you think they missed or didn't miss? What do you think they did wrong? People saying the justice system failed. I feel like it did a little bit. I mean, the justice system's fucked, so they always fail in something. So I can see. The thing about me is I'm gonna look at both sides. I'm not gonna be biased on, oh yeah, you know what, I'm on this side. Nah, I'm gonna look at the whole thing. I'm gonna look at all the evidence. I need all the receipts. I need all the fucking you know what I'm saying, witness statements. We obviously, I can't get my hands on surveillance footage, but I don't need that. They talked about everything in court, and everything's there for you to find. So everything I'm saying is shit that I already listened to or read. I mean, you can go look it up for yourself. You don't want to hear what I gotta say? Don't listen to it, bitch. But I'm not. I don't sugarcoat shit. I mean, both parties were at fault. None of them are innocent. He shouldn't have lost his life, but he wasn't completely innocent. So I'm tired. I'm tired of people acting like this was just some random attack. He didn't just go up to him and stab him for no damn reason. I mean, this was a beef that turned deadly, and two young men ruined their life. One lost his, unfortunately, and that's the end of that. Anyways, thank y'all for tuning in. I'm gonna try to put this up as soon as I can. Stay tuned and just stay safe out there, bro, because the world getting